Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the change of command ceremony for the United States Army Marksmanship Unit. This morning, we honor Lieutenant Colonel Casey D. Mills, who will relinquish command of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit to Lieutenant Colonel Christopher R. Thielenhaus. The host for today's ceremony is Colonel Karen L. Ruppka, Commander of the United States Army Marketing Engagement Brigade. Our honored guests attending today's change of command ceremony are Colonel Ruppka, Colonel McGinnis, Colonel and Mrs. White, Colonel Hammonds, Command Sergeant Major Morrell, Command Sergeant Major Ford, Command Sergeant Major Retired Sadler, Command Sergeant Major Retired Lewis. At this time, Staff Sergeant Payne will be presenting flowers to Miss Katie Mills. She is receiving a bouquet of red roses. Red is the color of the heart and reflects the loving concern she has shown for the soldiers and civilians of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit over the past 2 years. Miss Mills' roses are in full bloom, symbolizing her relationship with the unit's soldiers, civilians, and family members. Staff Sergeant Hetherington is presenting Miss Jamie Thielenhaus with a bouquet of yellow roses. Yellow is the color of new beginning and symbolizes her welcome to the battalion. Their daughter Elsie and son Thomas are each being presented a USAMU coin. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation delivered by Chaplain Johns and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem.
I ask you to pray with me as you are able. Father, it is your charge for leaders to be selfless, men who sacrifice of themselves in order to fulfill the needs of others. I thank you for these 2 men who have been tested and found worthy of their calling. Men who will empty themselves to prepare and enable our nation's most talented shooters and trainers to demonstrate both the superiority of our nation and our unquestioned lethality in close combat. I thank you for Lieutenant Colonel Mills and his faithful and dedicated leadership of the AMU. Bless and challenge him in his next assignment beyond, and go before him and undergird his success in all ways. Father, bless also Lieutenant Colonel Thielenhaus. Grant him wisdom, discernment, and an unyielding expectation for the triumph of his people over those who would stand against them in contest or in war. Finally, Lord, bless the men and women of the Army Marksmanship Unit. If called, let us be able to say with the Scriptures, "You are my war club, my weapon of war. And with you I shatter nations, and with you I destroy kingdoms. With you I shatter the horse and his rider, and with you I shatter the chariot and its rider. Give our fingers the strength to grasp a bow of bronze and send arrows into the faces of our enemies. Let 1,000 fall at our left hand, and 10,000 at our right. It is in the name of Jesus Christ I pray. Amen."
Battalion, attention. Present arms. Order, arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The mission of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit is to support accessions and enhance lethality to enable the Army to win on a complex, competitive battlefield. On order, the unit will provide augmentation to overseas contingency operations. Our soldiers do this by winning national and international shooting competitions supporting Army marketing engagements, and advancing small arms lethality to demonstrate Army marksmanship capability, connect America to its Army, and enhance marksmanship effectiveness in combat. From time immemorial, armies throughout the world have conducted ceremonies to commemorate victory over an enemy, to honor their heroes, to celebrate special occasions, or to pay homage to fallen comrades. These ceremonies add color and pageantry to military life. In the United States, the foundation of our present ceremonies was laid by the Continental Army. Today's ceremony reflects procedures practiced since the dawn of our nation and derived from our Army's first manual of ceremonies, the Blue Book, written by Baron von Steuben. The centralized presence of our national colors represents the unified purpose of our Army, its willingness to offer the supreme sacrifice in defense of our nation, and stands as a rallying point of strength and loyalty. As such, the task of guarding the national and unit colors is an honor given to only the finest of soldiers. Additionally, the United States Army Marksmanship Unit is represented by critical Army civilian personnel. Although they do not wear the uniform, our Army civilians stand proud and ready to support the unit's mission. Now approaching is our official party, consisting of Colonel Karen L. Rutka, Commander of the United States Army Marketing and Engagement Brigade and host of today's ceremony. Lieutenant Colonel K.C.D. Mills, the outgoing Commander of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit, and Lieutenant Colonel Christopher R. Thielenhaus, the incoming Commander of the unit. The keeper of the colors for today's ceremony is First Sergeant Alexander Royston, the United States Army Marksmanship Unit, HHD First Sergeant. The custom of the change of command to acknowledge the change of the commanding officer of a military unit in a formal ceremony dates to the 18th century during the reign of Frederick the Great of Prussia. At that time, organizational flags were developed with color arrangements and symbols unique to each unit. To this flag and its commander, the soldiers of the unit would dedicate their loyalty and trust. It reaffirms the concept that the Army is perpetuated in time-honored values and traditions. Today, you will witness a small part of that tradition as the colors of the command of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit are passed. The Corps of the Non-Commissioned Officers has always been the key link between the officers and the soldiers under their command. In recognition of their essential role in the success of the organization, the most senior non-commissioned officer of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit, First Sergeant Alexander Royston, will assist in the transfer of the unit colors. Symbolic of the change of command is the passing of the organizational colors from the outgoing commander to the incoming commander. The unit colors are historically significant because they served as a point around which the soldiers rallied as they moved forward in battle. The colors were first objective in battle, and their fall meant confusion and probable defeat. The colors have traditionally been at the side of the commander and were carried forward even if the commander fell in combat. The transfer of the colors emphasizes continuity of leadership and unit identity despite changes in individual authority. With the transfer of the colors goes the command responsibility for the accomplishment of the mission and the welfare of the soldiers, civilians, and their families. Lieutenant Colonel K.C.D. Mills has held this responsibility for the past 2 years and will now relinquish them. First Sergeant Royston has passed the colors to Lieutenant Colonel Mills and his last act of service to him. Lieutenant Colonel Mills then passed the colors to Colonel Rutka as he relinquished command of the Army Marksmanship Unit. Colonel Rutka is now charging Lieutenant Colonel Thielenhaus to accept them, signifying his assuming command of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit. Lieutenant Colonel Thielenhaus now passes the colors back to First Sergeant Royston, signifying he is the keeper of the colors. By authority of paragraph 2-6 Alpha, Army Regulation 600-20, the undersigned assumes command of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit, effective 3 October 2024. Signed, Christopher R. Thielenhaus, Lieutenant Colonel, Special Forces, Commanding.
Parade, rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of the United States Army Marketing Engagement Brigade, Colonel Karen L. Rucka.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Colonel Hammonds, Colonel White, Colonel McGinnis, Sergeant Major Forey, Command Sergeant Major Retired Lewis, Command Sergeant Major Retired Sadler. I would like to welcome all of you to the change of command this morning and thank you for joining the Marketing and Engagement Brigade and the Army Marksmanship Unit on this beautiful Georgia morning. The first thing I want to do this morning is recognize and thank Katie Mills, all the Mills children that are in school or in AIT, Jimmy Thielenhaus, Elise and Thomas, thank you for being here to share this ceremony with Casey and Chris. The Army Marksmanship Unit is an elite battalion with a unique mission that supports accessions and innovation, while also competing across the globe. The unit was founded in 1956 with the mission to win shooting competitions, and they have done just that. AMU is one of the Army treasures. It is one of our treasures. It's an integral part of our history that is charged with maintaining our competitive edge. To serve as the commander of this unit is a distinct honor, and we just watched Casey pass that to Chris. Casey assumed command of this battalion almost 2.5 years ago. He has led this unit and their support of 2 very challenging accessions years. He has placed a well-needed focus on junior ROTC programs. He oversaw the final development and testing of the NGSW, followed shortly by saving the Army billions of dollars with reduced range ammunition. He has also convinced me to get the brigade into rodeos, and this year he had the small task of the Olympics. The impact that Casey and this battalion has had on the Army cannot be overstated. Casey has been my senior commander for over a year, and whether he knew it or not, he was my sounding board for new ideas, some good and some bad. He owned my favorite place in the entire Army, and he regularly let me come visit. He gave me a home for countless Alaska trinkets, and he even allowed me to spoil Belle. Casey, you and Katie have made Fort Moore an enjoyable place for the Sergeant Major and I to visit. I want to thank you and Katie for your service to this unit and to the Army. Both of you, and now Kai, have selflessly volunteered to serve our nation. And I am very excited to see what the future holds for the entire Mills family. Godspeed and good luck to all of you. Chris, welcome to the Accessions Enterprise. You and Jamie are joining this brigade at the height of change. The next 2 years will be unlike anything you have ever done in the Army. This is an amazing unit with a storied history, and I am very honored and very excited to welcome you to the home of champions. Be all you can be.
Thank you, Colonel Rucka. Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing commander, Lieutenant Colonel Casey D. Mills.
I'm doing 2 things that any speechwriter would highly advise me against doing. 1, I'm leaving the podium, so I have to do something with my hands. And 2, I'm changing my speech up kind of last minute. It kind of happened between PT and this morning, so we'll see how it goes. The first thing that I wanted to do, though, is absolutely start with a thanks to my beautiful wife, Katie. 22 years we've been on this journey in the military, and it started before that. We were, dating in college, and I had told her 20 years, and then the next 40 are yours. And here I am. I'm already 10% beyond that at 22, and just signed on for another job with her full support. The conversation. That's going to be another 2 to 3. Right, so now we're getting into like 25% beyond what I said we were signing up for. But thank you for also being my sounding board as I went through some of those decisions. And I promise, at one point, we are going to hang this up, and the next, maybe 35 will be yours. Hopefully still 40. Hopefully still 40. Another thanks, though, to everyone that is here, the senior leaders that came out, Colonel Rucka, CSM Morrell, thanks for being an incredible command team for me over the last year. Presence is currency, and presence is a relationship, and we have a finite amount of time, and when we choose to invest that time in those around us with our presence, it is the most heartfelt, the most genuine aspect we can do. Colonel McGinnis, we've worked tremendously together in the lethality department. I appreciate you being here. I'm just kind of going to go down the line. One of my great friends and a great friend of this unit, Anthony Randall, and his beautiful wife, Janine, thank you for being here. I know you were probably beating all the coppers on a 185 to get down here. He was just at the Military Influencer Conference, continuing to serve after his career, and he has invested in this unit heavily as we brought him for leadership, mentorship, coaching, training, and it's been phenomenal. Mr. Sadler constantly helping us get our facilities in order, and we really appreciate it. Colonel Hammonds, and I'm going to kind of Colonel Hammonds and Colonel Lindsay together here as representatives of the Ranger Regiment and ARTB. And I know 3 October is a sacred day for the Ranger Regiment and for the entire Ranger formation. That's not lost on me. In fact, this morning, as we did a PT event to honor all 18, 19 was Matt Ryerson, who fell during the Battle of Mogadishu, but specifically the Rangers in Jamie Smith, James Kavako, James Joyce, Richard Alphabet Kowalewski, Dominic Pia, and Lorenzo Ruiz. We honor their sacrifice, and I know that you are taking time away from the Ranger Regiment to be with me today, so I appreciate your presence here. Thank you. CSM Forey, we had a short time together, but it was great, and you've been a continued mentor for me all along the way. I really appreciate it. And you got Brian Nelson in the back, who's hosted some of our Olympians and soldiers on the infantry podcast, getting our news out there. Thank you very much. Everybody else who I may not know yet or don't recognize, just thank you for being here with your presence. Separately, I moved over here because while all eyes may be on me as a speaker, I really want all eyes on this formation. Because standing in this formation, if you don't know, we've got an Olympic gold medalist. And if we reach out into the crowd, if he's here, we actually have 2 in this formation. There's an Olympic silver medalist. In fact, there's 2 of those in this formation as well. One happens to be the same person, an Olympic gold and Olympic silver, who now serves in a very selfless role as a hand loader in our ballistics lab. We've got multiple national and world champions. We've got President's 100 champions from both pistol and rifle. We've got the National Trophy individual champions, most recently from this year, in both rifle and pistol. There's a 2-time national 3-gun champion in here who I don't even think is old enough to drink alcohol yet, or maybe just turned this year. What a career he's going to have in front of him. We have national champions, world champions. We have the first women international rifle shooter to win a world championship in that discipline since 1979. Our Olympic silver medalist this year was the first one in that sport since 1984 for America. In the crowd, we've got countless civilians that work behind the scenes selflessly, that are oftentimes not on those Instagram posts. They're not in the front news stories. Some of them served here previously, and they continue to do so this formation behind me can accomplish what they do. Inside of here, we've got snipers and rangers that have chosen a different path following that time to invest in a passion and to bring that expertise and that level of lethality back into the force so that we can do what I call our moral imperative to increase lethality on the battlefield so that a U.S. soldier in a conflict that may have had his last day of training on the range right before he's in a life or death situation can either save his own life or save that of a comrade. We've got ballisticians here that have helped the Army solve billion-dollar problems in fielding the new NGSW. In fact, one member of our formation is out there fielding the NGSW for the 3rd unit. We are the only active unit in the Army outside of Picatinny Arsenal that is assisting in the fielding of the NGSW to every formation that will receive it. I mean, accolades to the group behind me, both the civilians and the soldiers. And I thank you all for what you've done. As I've told you several times over the last week, I am honored to stand in this company. So finally, here's where my original speech starts. Break, break, break. Original speech to commence now. There's an old story about a Spartan leader. He's off on a combat campaign, successful as expected, and he sends a message back to the Spartan Council. Very short, concise. He simply says, "City taken." And the messenger runs it back to Sparta. As he returns, He's not expecting a hero's welcome, but he certainly wasn't expected to be called before the council of the Juriosea and the Spartan king to then be reprimanded for being overly verbose in his communication. Taken would have sufficed. So with that, thanks.
Thank you, Colonel Mills. Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher R. Thielenhaus.
All right, Casey, I'm going to copy a little bit. I really like this, so I'm going to go for it too. I was off the cuff anyway. I promise it won't take more than 30 minutes. All right, ma'am, thank you for being in the ceremony. All the friends and family for Army Marksmanship Unit, I couldn't be more thrilled that you've come here to share this moment with us. First off, Casey, I want to thank you for putting this together and also for your leadership of this unit. I can say with absolute confidence that you've left this unit in probably the best state it's been in many, many years. And that's echoed to me by many people who have worked in this unit before. And I'm thrilled to be able to take over at this time where we're at right now and how we're postured for the future. I don't think you could have done a better job. And so to my heartfelt thanks, I really appreciate what you've done here. And I would look forward to continuing to see what you do in the future as well. To the soldiers here, I have to be up front. I picked this unit as my #1 choice for 3 reasons, and that's because you guys represent the 3 things that I'm most passionate about in the Army. And that's the importance of winning, soldier lethality, and telling the Army story. And that's the things that you guys do on a day-to-day basis. One of those 3 things happens here every single day. And that's why I am so excited to be taking this unit, because that's what I love to do. That's what I love about the Army. And that's what I'm looking forward to most to fulfilling within this unit and its mission. With that, just a couple of thanks. Thanks to all the folks out there, Dan, Cody, Will, the folks that are here, John, sir. I really appreciate you guys being here for this moment for me. This is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. And I'm just happy that you were able to share this moment and hopefully come eat my food right afterwards. And lastly, Jamie, thank you. I love you. This has been a long road to get here, to say the least. I know you are as excited as I am to come and do a job like this, so we can be together as a family for longer, enjoy my favorite things about the Army, and live in a house that we built together. And I love it. I'm looking forward to the next few years. I'm looking forward to what Elsie, Thomas, I love you guys too. And I'm looking forward to what you guys do in the next few years as we start going into Elsie as you're about to start high school. So, with that, home of champions, De Pressy-Lebert. I'll see you guys shortly.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song.
And this concludes today's ceremony.
Recharge your unit.
Dismissed.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. The Millses will remain in the final hall to say their last goodbyes. Lieutenant Colonel Thielenhaus and Jamie invite you to join them for a reception in the historic groundhouse by the Shark Committee. Thank you. Thank you for your attendance. All the